Mercedes returns to pole position in the cold of Las Vegas, confirming that the W15 is a top-tier car, provided it hits the ideal operating window. However, for George Russell, the race still needs to be built, with Ferrari ready to capitalize on the best pace seen in practice. The opportunity is ripe for the Prancing Horse in the World Championship race, aided by McLaren's difficulties, which even sees them behind a Max Verstappen who recovered in the final moments. The Brackley team exceeds all expectations. The Silver Arrows had already shown their potential in Friday's practice, but there was fear that they could disappoint again in qualifying, when opponents increase their power and reduce fuel loads. Mercedes, however, proves to be the car to beat in a single-lap performance in Las Vegas, demonstrating once again how in modern Formula One, temperatures and finding the ideal operating window make the difference. The W15 is a car that loves the cold, as suggested by the pole position in Canada, the one at Silverstone with the accompanying win, and the front row in Brazil in the pouring rain. In the night of Las Vegas, with the track surface never exceeding 15 degrees Celsius, the Silver Arrows are the quickest to warm up their tires, making a difference at the beginning of the lap. George Russell outpaces Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen by 0.3 in the first sector, while the gap to Charles Leclerc and the McLaren cars grows to half a second. In a qualifying session decided by less than 1/10 of a second, the explicit request from the Englishman to go out last, thus benefiting from the best track evolution, also plays a role. However, George Russell's pole position contrasts with Lewis Hamilton's 10th place, whose double mistake in Q3 is the result of a trust issue that the champion has never found with the ground-effect Mercedes. Alongside Russell will be Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, the best among non-Mercedes drivers in the first sector. At the start of the lap, the Spaniard gains 0.2 on Charles Leclerc, thanks to better tire preparation on the outlap, as acknowledged by the Monegasque himself. Las Vegas represents the perfect storm for Ferrari, a car always more gentle on tires and therefore slower to warm them up. The cold is just one factor, added to the extremely smooth surface, which causes the tire to deform less on contact with the asphalt and generate less heat. The lack of fast corners and the low downforce configuration further reduce the energy transferred to the tires, which moreover can cool down by over 40 degrees Celsius on the long straight of the strip. On the year's worst track from this perspective, it is certainly a positive for Ferrari to be ahead of their direct rivals. The merit is also due to the availability of an extreme low downforce rear wing, unlike the competition, as well as the good mechanical grip of the SF24 on the curbs and in the slow corners of the second sector. The two Ferrari cars will start ahead of the McLarens, and based on what was seen in Friday's simulations, they have the potential to challenge Pierre Gasly and George Russell in the long race. Ferrari and Mercedes find themselves at opposite ends, the former more competitive in race pace, the latter extremely quick at warming up the tires. After free practice, their respective representatives spoke about the need to find a better compromise between qualifying and the race, adjusting pressures, camber angles, convergence, and suspension stiffness. So far, the choices favor Mercedes in single-lap performance, but the overall picture will only be clear at the end of the Grand Prix, and for now, Ferrari seems to be in the best position. Once again, Max Verstappen recovers at the last minute after 3 free practice sessions in serious trouble. The Dutchman's difficulties do not stem from balance, as often happened in the middle part of the season. The problem for Red Bull also lies in warming up the tires, risking reliving the dramatic scenario from Singapore 2023. The world champions managed to get their tires up to temperature just in time, but the RB20 remains far from the top positions. Among the limitations, besides the difficulty in attacking the curbs, is the lack of a low downforce rear wing. As in Monza, the Austrian team is forced to use the medium downforce wing from Jeddah, a solution that is inefficient and will cause problems in close race battles. Max Verstappen still has the opportunity to seal the World Championship, starting ahead of Lando Norris. Unlike Red Bull, McLaren can rely on a low downforce wing. On Saturday, the team even decides to reduce the aerodynamics compared to the start of the weekend, using a rear wing that they hadn't even used in Monza. However, this choice does not seem to bring any particular benefits, with McLaren even losing the advantage over Ferrari in the first sector, then struggling in the tight middle sector, lacking aerodynamic downforce. There remains the doubt that the Woking team has opted for a different mechanical setup, sacrificing tire warming on the single lap to improve graining management, in response to Lando Norris's strong dissatisfaction after Friday's simulations. Only the race, however, will confirm or disprove this theory. Alpine is the big surprise of the day, with Pierre Gasly achieving an extraordinary third place. There were no signs that Las Vegas would be a circuit suited to the Anglo-French car, nor that the A524 tends to perform better in cold conditions. The updates that arrived at the end of October, ending a 6-month development freeze, are starting to bear fruit. Much of the credit for the result in Las Vegas goes to Pierre Gasly, but the second car, driven by Esteban Ocon, also stands out, narrowly missing out on a Q3 spot. Alpine is now in the best position to defend an unexpected 6th place in the constructors' standings. The first of their direct rivals is Yuki Tsunoda, 7th with a Racing Bulls car that arrived in Las Vegas with updates to the hood and rear aerodynamics. Haas, on the other hand, is disappointing. On paper, the low downforce Nevada track should highlight the strengths of the VF24, but at the moment it only managed to reach 9th place with Nico Hülkenberg. In Ferrari's Friday night review, what was missing was Charles Leclerc's punch. The Monegasque was fortunate to see only Pierre Gasly slotting in the 0.3 gap that separated him from his Maranello teammate, securing a spot in the second row, which leaves nothing ruled out for tomorrow's race. Teams and drivers are now preparing for a race where graining tire wear will dominate, pushing everyone to conserve 2 sets of hard tires, the most resistant to the phenomenon, even though they haven't been tested during the weekend. Safety cars and red flags are also around the corner, rewarding those who manage their tires best and delay their pit stops. In the land of betting, strategy is set to be a true gamble, promising a Grand Prix full of surprises. If the race ended like the practice sessions, we would have Max Verstappen as world champion and Ferrari more than ever in the race for the constructors' title. Las Vegas, the city of gambling, leaves every bet open. On a track where overtaking is easy, but with a minimal grip on the track surface that promises constant twists and turns, as mistakes are just around the corner, along with the risk of tires struggling to warm up. Carlos Sainz's 2nd place and Charles Leclerc's 4th give Ferrari the momentum for a very possible victory, as the race pace should be strong, with tire behavior under control and excellent straight-line speed, which is a weapon for overtaking. It is a Ferrari that is finally thinking big. With solid reasons behind it due to the car's progress and the team's cohesion, the wind in their sails can take them far. Ferrari's focus is on the Constructors' Championship, and even though Mercedes is not a direct rival in this regard, to maximize their points, they will need to overcome George Russell as well. The challenge with McLaren seems within reach, as both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have confirmed the difficulties in managing the car under low-grip conditions. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc know that much will be decided at the start and at the first corner, but everything seems to be set up in the best possible way. The 6th win of the season, which could boost Ferrari's chances in the Constructors' Championship, appears to be within reach.